I've been a Qantas Frequent Flyer for about 15 years now. I've got lifetime silver. I'm a platinum member, and I'm not saying that to flex on you. I just want to show that I've invested a lot of time and money into being a Qantas Frequent Flyer. Yes, that was a Virgin 737, but I want to give this video some context in that I've invested a lot into getting that status with Qantas over the last 15 years. But right now I'm starting to question if all that investment in my Qantas status, whether it's all been worth it. What are you going to do on the Gold Coast?
Live my best life, obviously.
This is just another reminder, please, that unfortunately our down route escalator is inoperable at the moment. We are waiting for maintenance to come and repair this. Thanks for all passengers travelling on Qantas Flight 432, the 10 AM service through to Sydney. Please make your way to Gate Lounge number 8.
Now, through the pandemic, a lot of airlines rolled over status tiers. Because we couldn't obviously fly during the pandemic, airlines pushed forward our membership levels, irrespective of whether we were flying or not. But for some of you who are watching, and also for my wife Jacqui, who's flying today, that rollover ends this year. So whatever status you've had for the last 3 years is actually going to come to an end sometime in 2023. Now, us travellers, we're not flying as much still now as we were pre-pandemic. The levels haven't come back up to where they were before 2020. With what's happening with the economy as well at the moment, a lot of us are still in that money saving, not travelling as much mode. Singapore Airlines. So if you're not planning to fly as much this year, it does beg the question, is it worth paying the money to one specific airline to try and retain that status credit ongoing if we're not going to be enjoying the benefits of it because we're not actually travelling as much as we used to? The new terminal's finally opened. It looks really nice in here. Everything's brand new. They've got good table, good seat. They're still building it. Let me just give you a few examples of how I earned status credits recently on some flights. I did Newark to Miami with American Airlines. First class, what they call first class, it's basically their business fare. 50 status credits I got for that flight, and that was at a cost of $8.42 per status credit. Miami to Boston, also with American Airlines, got me 60 status credits at $14.50 per credit. LA to Miami was 200 status credits at $11.19 per status credit. And Sydney to Melbourne, here an average kind of fare, which will get you 10 status credits in economy, works out at roughly $23.80 per status credit. Now, if you take an average of those, say it's around $14, if you need to earn $700 to get gold frequent flyer status, that means you need to spend $9,800 to get gold frequent flyer status. Now, sure, in its own right, that sounds like a lot of money, but if you're traveling anyway, then it kind of makes sense, I suppose, to fly with one airline to build up those status credits to get all the perks. And what perks do you get if you're a gold frequent flyer? Well, first of all, you get access to the lounges. You also get extra frequent flyer miles that you earn. There's a multiplier applied when you're a higher status tier. Plus you get priority boarding at the airport, priority customer service, and some other kind of soft perks that also go along with that frequent flyer membership. So yes, it's a fair expense, but if you're going to be doing those flights anyway, doesn't it make sense to stay with the same airline? Jack's heading off for a couple of days, but has discovered that she's come to the airport missing one of the most important parts of any traveller's packing list. What didn't you bring?
No, I brought headphones, but they don't connect to my iPad.
Oh, they got the wrong connection on.
Yeah.
It's alright, thanks for the AirPods. Oh, yeah.
It's just the right one is not dead.
Stefan?
Yeah.
Fraser, I followed you on
Connect. No, not right.
Maybe it only does one at a time. Success? Success. Have a nice trip on the Gold Coast.
Thanks.
Enjoy your time away.
I
Send me
will.
photos.
I will.
Send me updates of everything you're up to.
I will.
Don't have too much fun.
I won't.
She will.
I'll see you Sunday.
Yeah. See you Sunday. Bye, baby. Bye. Bye, Jack. Bye, Jack. Bye, Jack. So we have a couple of international trips booked this year, but I've started... This isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. I thought it'd be a good idea to film out here. This is the viewing area at Melbourne Airport. This is the end of the north-south runway. I thought it'd be a really good idea to film with the planes going in the background. I didn't factor in that it was blowing about probably 25, 30 knots of wind today. I might finish this one somewhere else. Now, over the next few months, we have 2 trips coming up, international trips, and for both trips, we've decided not to book with Qantas. And instead of booking with Qantas, who we are frequent flyers with, we've just picked the cheapest airfare that was available. Now, of course, that does mean we don't get access to the Qantas perks. I'm flying with United Airlines, for example, in a month or 2. I'm not going to be able to access any of the Qantas facilities and the Qantas lounges, but I've started making the decision now this year based on the price of the airline ticket as opposed to all the additional status benefits that I would otherwise get. Prices, of course, do vary. If I could find a Qantas flight cheaper than any other flights, then that's like a win-win because I can use my status tier benefits as well as getting a cheap airfare. But yeah, now I've just decided that I think this year I'm really going to be moving away from being loyal to one airline and start moving towards being loyal to my bank balance. If you do want the benefits of things like lounge access, of course, if you're lucky enough to be able to, but if you do book, say, a business class fare on another airline, then don't forget, yes, you might not be able to access the lounge facilities that you would from the airline that you have that status tier with, but the airline that you're flying with, if you book a business fare, you can just access their lounges. And of course, if you're flying another airline, have I got one? Hang on. If you're booking an airline that's part of the same alliance, like One World in this instance, then you actually get more choices. You can then choose to go to the lounges of the airline that you're flying with, or if you do have them in the same airport, you can go to the lounges of the airline that you have that status tier with. Now, whether you're going to work to keep your status with the airline that you fly with, whether, like some of us, you're actually going to lose your status because the rollovers have stopped happening since the pandemic, or whether you're going to do like what I'm doing at the moment, which is trying to look for the cheapest airfares and not really worrying about airline loyalty as much as time goes on. Whatever you decide to do, it really just comes down to your own personal habits. But the one thing I will say is, for me, not forcing myself to fly with one airline and one airline alone, I think is going to make me a little bit more adventurous. And I'm really looking forward to the opportunity of trying airlines that I might otherwise never have flown. Basically, I think it's going to be fun to be a little bit more adventurous. Try some new airlines, go through some new airports that otherwise I might not have flown through before. Like, I've never been to China. Why don't I try that? If you're also feeling a bit adventurous and want an alternative airline in and out of Australia, then check out this video I made on board a Singapore Airlines A350.